Hi, my name is Rachel Bruner, and I'm going to teach you how to play my game, Royal Espionage, a storytelling game of intrigue, intelligence, and imminent death. So this is a one-player game. There are cards, mini cards, tokens. So for the print and play version, which is the current available version of the game, there are different tokens, and they don't have to be circles or squares. They could be the same. They don't require the backs, but you need a way to differentiate the two. So for me, it's easiest to make these types of tokens be, squares with rounded corners. They have little stars on the back. These that are the symbols of the characters in the game as circles. And they have swords at the back. The backs aren't required, but as long as you can differentiate the two types of symbols, that's what's most important. The other thing is in the game, you will have, you'll need this card. And this game does take up a lot of table space. I'm actually a little worried about fitting the whole game in the video frame, so I might have to kind of shift things as we go. And then the print and play files have some different options. So there's this card, which is to track the suspicion you'll receive on the king's side or the usurper's side. And the other option are these two cards, which separates them, and it also tracks the number of supporters for each side. I prefer to use these. They're in a separate file on the file section of Board Game Geek instead of using this card. The other thing is there is an assassinated card, which is a variant. So for your first couple games, I suggest not playing with that, as it will make the game more difficult. And there's a player aid for setup and play order. That's also pretty handy. Okay, so setting up the game, I like to set these cards like so. These can kind of be up a little bit. And then, so you'll have a little brown wood. It starts on the 3, which has a little circle on it, and that's your influence. So, I forgot to say that in this game, you are a spy for the king, as well as for the usurper who's trying to dethrone the king. So you have been caught in the middle. Something's happened. For some reason, you've been roped in by both the king and the usurper to spy for them, to discover who supports the king's side and who supports the usurper's side, how much support that they can bring with their resources. So you will have a king card that will need to be set up. I usually put it up pretty high, and we'll go over the king ability in a minute. That card is never rotated. Then you need to pick which character you're going to be. There are tokens and cards for each character in the royal household. There's prince, chamberlain, royal physician, duchess, captain of the guard, princess, lady in waiting, royal chef, royal bodyguard, queen, duke, and head housekeeper. So you can choose which one you want to play. It doesn't affect the gameplay at all. It's just for thematic purposes. I often just randomly pick, unless I don't like the pick, then I may choose again. All right, the royal bodyguard. And so right here, you'll see it says spy. So I set that like that. And then you need to find the token. So this is the token, see it matches, for the royal bodyguard. And you're gonna place it on the royal espionage symbol there, the crown with the spy glasses, or mask, I mean. Now you're going to need to determine, randomly select the usurper. Flip these over, and you're going to mix them up. So I'm kind of covering them up so nobody can, the marble under the cup, or whatever that game's called. You can't figure out which token's which. Okay, so randomly just pick one and place it on there. It doesn't really matter. And then the rest of the tokens keep face down, and I like to put them all up here, up above the card, out of the way, because you'll see in a little bit. We're gonna have cards here. So throughout the game, these will be flipped up, and to determine who is not the usurper until the very last one is revealed. You can't reveal this one until all the others have been revealed, and then to know who the usurper is. Okay, then you take these cards and you lay them out in 2 rows, and you're gonna need, I'm gonna need some space here. Make sure we've got enough room here, because I've got limited table space for the camera. My table's big enough. The camera just, you know, zoomed out as much without, okay, without showing the stand, my camera stand's legs. Okay, so here, so you have 2 rows. You're here, and you will place a pawn on your card. That's going to be your start position. And then you're going to take these tokens. There's one for everyone except you. These range in numbers 2. There's a whole bunch of 3s. I think there's 5 3s. There's a couple of 4s, a couple of 5s, and 1 6. 2 2s. So these need to be flipped. And when I made this, the stars have a specific, you know, direction to be actually looking like rotated correctly for a star. But that's kind of, doesn't mean anything. So if I do an update to the print and play files, I will do a different star, like a more symmetric. Yeah. Oh, flip it over. Okay, pay attention here. So mix these all up, and then you're going to randomly place them. They don't need to be facing up the right way. It doesn't matter. One on every character, and I put them up in the corner opposite of their little icon symbol of their card. So because this part is going to start getting covered up with cards, you want to be able to see the symbol of the card. Okay, there you go. And remember, you don't get one. Your pawn's blocking that spot. So, because what that means is each number, each person, including the king, will have an amount of support that they will bring to the side that they're supporting. Are they supporting the king? Of course, the king's going to support himself. The usurper side, which will be over here, whatever people, if the prince ends up supporting the usurper, whatever number he has on here, that will be here, the support. And at the end of the game, there will be a side that wins, that triumphs over the other side. The king's side, you know, if they have more points, if they ended up having 22 points and the usurper ended up having 21 points, the king side will win. And you need to be on the winning side, meaning your character needs to support the winning side or you lose with the losers. So if you, if there's a tie between the support, if both sides get exactly 22 support or other number, which can happen, the king side will always win a tie. You can choose whichever side you want. It is part of the storytelling aspect and how things play out, which you'll see is how I play this game. But there's not a right or wrong, though, other than if you win or lose the game. You can support the usurper. Perhaps in your story, the current game you're playing, the king is a horrible king and he's throws servants in prison and maybe he's killing off people, or you know, taxes are so extremely high that people are starving. It could be a horrible situation as him as king, and you agree with the usurper trying to dethrone the king to help the kingdom and the people, or some other aspect of the story. Maybe he killed the previous king and he himself is usurper. You can have any story aspect you want, and I encourage you to think of that as you're playing the game, how the story is unfolding, because that's part of the charm of this game, is the storytelling aspect. You can definitely play without any of the storytelling part, which will come into effect with these info cards. That's a real part of the storytelling aspect. These will need to be shuffled, but I find the storytelling part is what makes this game really shine. So I encourage you to do that. You can have all kinds of parts of the story. Maybe the usurper is bad and the king is a lovely, benevolent king who raises, leads the kingdom in kindness, and there's prosperity and whatnot. Okay, so you don't start with any suspicion. This is a very key component to the game, is this suspicion. Throughout the game, you will gain suspicion on both sides. And you know, however much suspicion is fine, unless you hit 10 or more. If you hit that 10 mark, you are dead. Meaning the king side has become very suspicious from different activity and information, because you're finding information about people in the kingdom and you're sharing it with the king. And also the usurper, without trying to let the king know this, because you're playing both sides of the fence. You can make up a story that you were roped into it. Maybe whatever info cards come on your character will play an aspect in that part of the story. And also on the usurper side, if that one hits 10, same thing, you're dead. I mean, the usurper side has determined you are a double spy, and boom, you're dead. Same with the kings, you know, too much suspicion and you're dead. The other thing is you have to be supporting the winning side. which I did say earlier, but to clarify that if the king side wins and you're supporting the usurper, you're dead, and vice versa. Okay, influence will be super important in this game to help you in determining which side is you're going to support, you know, which side is, you know, to find out more information really as you're influencing the court, as you're gaining information about these people and things. And that doesn't mean that people are always telling the truth. They could trick you. You could believe lies or whatnot. You won't know until the end of the game. It's possible that you believe whoever the usurper is. You don't know they're usurper till the very end when this is revealed. Could be that they're supporting the king's side and you believe that. And so you've told the king, well, if it is revealed, let's say the Duke is supporting the king and it's revealed that the Duke is the usurper. That would mean the Duke's symbol is that token there. Then that instantly brings to suspicion. So if you're here, or even here, let's say, you know, instant suspicion of 2 on the king's side. And the Duke, let's say he's a 4, and he's been giving, you know, 4 support. Well, if this ends up being the usurper, that card will move to the other side because he's actually on this side. His support, if it was 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, would go down. It would increase this one. So let's say it then put it here, and you gain the 2 suspicion. And that could change the tide of the game. Maybe you are supporting this side. Right now, the usurper would have more points and would win. So there's lots of aspects to kind of keep track of. And sometimes knowing who's not the usurper and being like, okay, they are supporting the king because I don't want the actual usurper to pretend to be supporting the king and then not be. And so the tricky part with that, if this is confusing, you'll understand more as the game plays or as you play a session or 2. And I'm not going to tell a lot of strategy because I want you to be able to learn that through your own playing of the game. There are all kinds of different strategy and realizing how the game balances with these cards. And that will be fun for you to discover as you play the game. So don't feel bad if you lose a couple of games. You can get lucky, and there is some luck. It's not too swingy, but there is a little luck because the randomness of tiles and drawing, but you can definitely balance that out with gaining influence and using that influence to determine information. So to show how the support and storytelling happens is you will draw a card, and the cards will have a symbol of a crown or a sword on the card. It's one or the other, and there's always one. A crown means this card is in support of the king's side, this in support of the usurper's side. And wherever your pawn is, you can play an info card on one of the next 3 characters. So right here, you go in a clockwise circle around the 2 rows. You could put, so this would be my first card drawn. I could place it here, here, or here. So in this part of the game, the storytelling part, you can pick anyone. So it says, so this person is honest in all dealings. Now that may or may not be true, but from what you've gathered in your spying information, you believe this to be accurate. So is it the Chamberlain, the Prince, or the Lady in Waiting? To note, on these cards are also these little fire symbols, or droplet symbols, I guess, droplet symbols. The blue ones, which if you're colorblind, they're mirror. So the blue has kind of a curve up. The red has a curve that way. So you can kind of see they are opposite of each other. So if you have a colorblind issue in those colors, you can't differentiate. Also, the blue will be on the side closest to the king, because blue, this is blue here, king. Red is closer to the sword on this side. And their droplets could be 0 to 3. There is a balance of the types of crowns and swords and droplets for the game, meaning there's an exact same number of sword droplet cards as there are king cards, which you can look when you build your game and look through the print and play files. So so how the game goes is, let's say I place this on the prince. I'm going to say in my story, the prince is honest in all dealings. At least you believe so. And you move your pawn to the character card of where you've played the info card. Now, the next info card you play can be on one of the next 3 characters. So the next card I draw is this. This person promised was promised power by the usurper. I mean, you can, how I can see these. So I can place it on the lady in waiting, the princess, or the captain of the guard. Oh, captain of the guard. So what happens is you will play these info cards, and where you place them will affect the game. This one, there's no droplet. There's only one for each sword, which crown without a droplet on it. Let's say the royal physician is ready for a change in the kingdom society. Oh, there's the other non-one without a droplet. Happy with the monarchy. Head housekeeper, duke. Let's say the queen. She's pretty happy with her husband in the monarchy. She's up in there. So you're going to place cards, and I'm going to just randomly place, so you'd be placing, and you place cards. Once you have 3 cards, let's see here, I'm using for my example. Once you have 3 cards on any character, they will now declare their support, or at least you know their support. You've determined who they're supporting according to what you've determined in your spying. The prince has 2 crowns and a sword. He is supporting the king because he has 2 crowns. If there were 2 swords, he would be supporting the usurper side. Almost always in this game, you will have 2 of one symbol. So in this one, there'd be 2 crowns and a sword. Almost always 2 of one symbol and 1 of another, meaning it's very rare in the game you would have all 3. Like this right here, you would not play this way, because I'll show you why right now. Because the droplets are the suspicion. So in this right here, the prince, when he declares support, the prince will move to that side. Even if you don't know what his support is, he's declared support, or at least you've determined his support. And you are going to determine the amount of suspicion from this intel you've learned throughout the game. So right now, the droplets cancel each other out of opposites. So this one, red one for the sword, and this one from the king's side, the blue, they cancel each other out. So there is 1 blue suspicion. So you gain 1 blue suspicion. Every time you gain any points of suspicion, you also gain that same number of points of influence. I gained 1 blue. I will gain 1 point of influence, and we'll explain what influence does in a minute. So the reason you wouldn't do this is because there is no red to offset the blue. So this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 points of suspicion of blue. Well, if we already had 1 and boom, we're right there, you're not going to win that game. You're going to, you get too much suspicion, you hit that 10, boom, you're dead. The king has found out you're a spy. This person would be a very poor spy indeed, and yeah, they would be executed. So to balance out the suspicion, you need to balance out with the 2 types. So this, even though it does cancel out, there is still 3 points of blue suspicion on the king's side. Sometimes you have to do that, but really you're going to try not to. So the other aspect is what support are these characters bringing? Well, right now, so I'm gonna, move it like that. So let's say, so this happens, and let's say if I want to know what this token is, I can pay 1 point of influence, and your player aid card will tell you under the use of influence. So 1 point of influence, I can reveal a support token. That's these square ones with the stars. For 2 points of influence, I can reveal character tokens, and those will also be revealed in another way I'll show you. Or 3 points of influence to dismiss one of these info cards. Let's say I have like this here, and let's say I've got a lot of blue right here, and I need to play, let's say I draw this card, and I'm like, I do not want to add more blue on here. It's really dangerous. There's a lot there. I could pay 3 points of my influence to dismiss this card. And that gets dismissed to the king's card, may dismiss 2 info cards. You can do that twice in the game. The info cards, there's exactly enough to place 3 cards on every character in the game, including yourself, plus 2 extras. So you can dismiss up to 2, and the gameplay will have enough info cards. All right. If you play with the assassinated card, you still can only dismiss 2 cards, even though that adds an extra card to the deck. because technically you will still draw another card after that card. Sorry, side tangent. Okay, so the prince is supporting. So you take the prince, and this is the one kind of awkward thing in the game, is that you're going to have all these cards. So we took our point of suspicion, we gained our influence because we were 3, gained 1, and we don't know how much support the prince is giving. You don't have to reveal these at all during the game if you choose not to. However, your likelihood of winning is less. But you can do that at any point during the game. But let's say I decide, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and spend a point of influence to see how much support the prince is giving to the king. All right, the prince brings 3 support. It's not great. It's pretty average in the game, the most common amount of support. But it is 3 points. You're like, well, let's see. Maybe I really want to know. And I'm going to spend 1 point to reveal the king's support. Sometimes this is good to do early in the game. Oh, the king does not have good support in his kingdom. He only brings 2 support to his own throne. That's not too good for the king. So this might determine for me that maybe seeing these low numbers already, I'm like, you know what? I don't think the king's a good ruler. Maybe I do, but I don't care and I want power. Maybe I want money. Maybe I'm in love with his wife. Who knows? You know, like the royal bodyguard, maybe he wants to support the usurper for whatever reason. So, and being like, well, I want to save my own skin. Maybe he doesn't care about the kingdom. Or maybe you do. You know, you can kind of decide. You could even still root for the king and be like, you know what? We're going to gather support. We're going to find this out and, you know, maybe be a little harder. But there are high point support cards still in the game. There will be anywhere from 5 to 6-ish supporters on each side, because there are 12 characters that will shift, not counting the king. He's the 13th. So people are going to shift sides. So so this is how it goes. When you move a character, when they have 3 influence cards or info cards, you move the character to the side they support. Take any suspicion and influence as applicable. If I had, oh, I lost the card. Oh, there it is. Let's say I had this one. See how there's no token on it, and this one. If this happened, and my influence, my suspicion, the droplets. Cards here. If the droplets canceled each other out completely and I gain 0 suspicion, that's good for you. You also gain 2 influence points. This is a new addition. I've been playtesting and had some help from a friend online. We were talking about the game, and this is new. So I will be updating the rule document for this. It's the only change so far I made. So no suspicion. So if I didn't take that suspicion, then I would have been, you know, 2 points. And then I use my 2 points to reveal those. But all right. So character moves to a side. You do suspicion, influence, do any support numbers if that's revealed yet. And then you always flip over one of these tokens. This is the last. You don't flip that over yet. So I just pick any one. All right, we know now, we've learned and determined that the captain of the guard is not the usurper. Now, the captain of the guard has not declared support for a side yet, so we leave his little token right there and continue playing the game. So my pawn would move here to where the last info card was played. I draw a card, and there would be, you know, some info cards around. I'm like, okay, oh, see, this isn't so good. They're like, well, this is some high suspicion, but you know what? I'm going to go ahead and put it here because I know the captain of the guard is not the usurper. So he's pretty safe to put over here because if this usurper, so if the prince ends up being the usurper, he will flip sides, lose his support here and go there, which I kind of explained earlier. Okay, so I'm like playing. So, yeah, so I think I'll just go ahead and play it so you kind of get the hang of it. I did move some cards around a little bit, but this is just kind of to show how the game plays. So I may not win this game, but that's okay. So here we go. We're the head housekeeper. She stole the king's signet ring. Did I draw that? I'm like paying attention here. Okay, so we're gonna say so yeah, I'm just gonna put that there. The royal chef revels in the king's flattery. And the cards would be balanced a little more, but okay, so I can go here, here, here. Well, let's say that I paid a large bribe to somebody. The royal bodyguard paid a large bribe. Okay, who's been saved by the king? Oh, these all have blue on them. Okay, and pretty high, but let's go ahead and I'm not too thrilled with this. I'm gonna go here. So what this means is the lady in waiting. Actually, so this is what I'm going to do actually. So I'm trying to figure out who to play this on. So this is a good time to use some influence. So I'm going to use a point of influence to see her support. The lady in waiting brings 3 support. So this card will declare, because there's 2 there. I still need 1 more card to move them. So I'm also going to pay 1 more point to reveal the princess. How much support does she bring? Oh, this is not helpful. They each bring 3. Well, let's pay my last point of influence and let's see the Chamberlain. 4. Okay. I need as many high pointers here if I'm going to be supporting there. But maybe I don't want to. You know what? I think I'm going to support the usurper because I think that's my best bet. So I don't want to send the Chamberlain of 4 points there. So I'm going to, and that's going to add me a lot of blue. So I'm going to put on the lady in waiting. See, my gut instinct to play it there was correct. Not that I knew what the tiles were. Okay, who is terrified of the usurper? So the lady in waiting was saved by the king. She's loyal to the family. You know who these are. Cares for the people, promoted by the king. But we don't know how much support he gives. I mean, if he's a 6, that's going to be good for the king's side. Let's do the Duchess. She is terrified of the usurper. All right. Let's see. The Duke, he's declared his support for the king. Of course he supports the king. Why wouldn't he? We'll see if he's being true later, huh? All right. Okay, well, let's say the queen's going to support the king. She does. What was that one? That was a good one. Oh, yeah, she's afraid for the kingdom. I think I swapped stuff around, but fears for family safety. Who received a letter from the usurper? You know, I might want to play this here. Paid large bribe. Okay, you know, even though it does put a lot of red, which I'll hope to counteract later with my 3rd card. Hope I get one of these 3 pointers. I'll still take some suspicion, but sometimes that helps getting influence. But I think I'm going to do that because I want to support the usurper. And that makes sense to me. The royal bodyguard received this letter from the usurper. I don't know who it is, but we've received this letter and maybe it's promised power or other things. So and maybe there was some money with it and I paid a large bribe using that money, trying to control the things. Okay, who performs all duties with honor? I don't want to put this here because that would be 5 suspicion. I don't want the Chamberlain to be supporting the king, but let's go ahead and put it here. This is going to be, we might not survive this game. So let's see here. Captain of the guard, that would still give me 3 blue suspicion. I think I'm in trouble. Let's see. Who's ready for a change? Terrified of the usurper. Let's go ahead and do this because I need some influence points. So this isn't super great, but all right. Oh, the captain of the guard was caught inside the treasury. Oh, whoops. He's supporting the king. I'm not being a good thing. I might be in trouble. Okay, so that cancels out those 2, cancel out those 2. 3 suspicion. So I take 3 suspicion, which does give me 3 influence. I need some influence points. Now I get to flip over one of these. Okay, so I know he's over here. So I usually place them all here and I can see him, but I'm going to just, well, I think I like to see all those. Be able to fit everybody on here, I think. Okay, so the royal chef is not the usurper. All right, let's keep going. Who's been threatened by the usurper? The royal physician. Yeah, he's been threatened. And he's ready for a change, so all right. Okay, the head housekeeper, she stole the king's signet ring. Oh, but she does honor the monarchy. Maybe she just really liked the ring, or maybe people thought she stole it. I don't know. Who? Okay, well, I can't play that there. I'll get too much suspicion. Okay, well, I have some influence points. Let's see how much support the Duke brings. He's only a 3, so I'm going to go ahead and place this here and hope I get a red, high red to cancel that there, because I'm trying to send low pointers there since I decided to support the usurper. Can you see I have two cross swords here, so I will definitely be supporting the usurper side. All right, this is good because I will be able to cancel out at least one of these. So the queen supports the king, so she moves here. And I don't want to use up my influence yet to do this. So 1 point of blue suspicion, which does give me a point of influence, and we reveal one of these. And the head housekeeper is not the usurper. Okay, well, she's over here. Okay, the royal chef, chamberlain. Oh, these are both good. Let's go ahead and just put that. Yeah. No, because I'm gonna be here, so I'll be able to play on this card, this card, and this card. You skip spaces. So 3, you always have access to 3 cards until there's less than 3 cards on the board, characters. Okay, this is 2, which is at least good. Either way, I'm gonna get 2 suspicion, but I think that's probably as good as I'm gonna get. So let's put it on the lady in waiting. Okay. However, we don't know if I'm going to slide this here a little bit so I have some, you can move, you can worry about spaces. You can do those. Lady in waiting, she brings 3 support. Okay, so first in suspicion, 2 suspicion, boom, boom, gives me 2 influence. I'm getting pretty high on my suspicion here. The start of this game didn't work so well with my random placing cards around. Well, we'll see what happens. And I get to reveal, all right, the Duchess is not the usurper. Yeah, that's great, but I don't know who the usurper is, and I think really the only one right now, this is not the usurper. The other 3 could be, so I may be in trouble. All right, oh, I pulled the lady in waiting. She was down here. Okay, so, oh, somebody hates the king. Who hates the king? The princess, she's loyal to the royal family, performs all duties with honor, but maybe she does hate the king. Maybe he's her father, or maybe he's an uncle and she is still a princess for whatever reason, or she's a foreign princess visiting. Yeah, we need to place this on her to cut out that suspicion, so she hates the king. Woohoo! All right, here we go. So, all right, so I gain 1 point of suspicion. Oh, this is not looking good for me. 3 points of support, and the chamberlain is not the usurper. Okay. Is selfless and kind. Who is selfless and kind? Oh, this is good for me. That cancels that one. So the royal physician, let's see, what is he? He's ready for a change. He's threatened by the usurper, even though he is selfless and kind. Let's say he's, or maybe that's not true. Let's see. Okay, so we finally have somebody supporting the usurper side. We don't gain any suspicion. Yay! So that does give us 2 influence. This is great. We're starting to get some good influence. And you don't need it real high. You just need to have access to points. That moves there. And we don't know his support. Let's go ahead and use a point to reveal his support. 5. Yes! 5 support. And we get to reveal one of these. The princess. Okay, and she is over here. So we'll put her there. So she is not the usurper. That's good for us because if the usurper ends up being over here, that will be 2 suspicion, and I'm afraid we won't survive that. Okay, that's not going to counter enough. I would die with this amount of suspicion. Maybe there, but that does give me some, but I don't have any suspicion over here right now on the usurper side, so we're going to go ahead and do this. The head housekeeper supports the usurper. She belittles the king's rulership. Oh, and remember, she stole the signet ring. So she says she honors the monarchy, but I don't think she really does. So that's 4 red minus the 2. 2 suspicion. Again, 2 influence. Let's spend a point to reveal her. Oh, yeah, that's good for us. So we're at 11. She's on this side. And we get to reveal another token. The royal physician is not the usurper. Well, neither of these are, but okay. Let's go ahead and reveal these 2 points. Reveal this one. 5. Oh, the queen's got some power. More than her husband. Oh, but the captain of the guard, he does not. Wow. Maybe he's disliked. He only brings 2 support. Oh, that's good for us. Okay. All right. New info card. Let's see here. Somebody was promised power by the usurper. Well, I really need to cancel out more of that. Let's go ahead and... Oh, well, I have to place it here, 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 and definitely not placing it there. So Let's see if I can get, okay, this is what I need. I need a high one here. That cancels out that 3, so I take 2. So now I move over here. Now I don't bring support. So 2 suspicion, boom, boom, gives me 2 influence, boom, boom. I still do get to reveal one of these. The queen. Oh, that's good because she's over here. So she's not the usurper. She's supporting her husband. All right, go here. I could use influence to reveal these, to reveal an extra one. Well, we know the royal chef is not the usurper. The duke could be the usurper, but the duke's already going to be supporting the king. I think I'm in a lot of trouble. Yeah, I think I'm in, yeah, because all the ones who could be the usurper, which is the duke, the lady in waiting, meaning their tokens haven't been revealed. There's 3 here, 1, 2, 3. The duke, the lady in waiting, and the prince have not been revealed, and they all support the king's side. So I cannot, that will give me 2 suspicions. So I cannot take on 1 blue point of suspicion, which there's no way to cancel out 4. So I was gonna be dead in this game. All right, well, there we go. Okay, well, we'll just play it to the finish. See this thing through. I'm gonna try to run from our mistakes. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. Well, let's go ahead and place it here. That at least cancels out the 3. We take 1 point of suspicion. Gives us 1 point of influence, but how much good is it gonna do us? The duke brings 3 support. Oh, I forgot to make a note. Once you, the spy, declares a side, meaning you have 3 info cards on you and you go to a side, any new characters added to that side will give you 1 point of influence. So if any of these ones that are left come over here, they would give me a point of influence. That's more helpful usually earlier in the game. If you decide to declare pretty early, that can be helpful. All right, I get to flip one of these. The lady in waiting. Yeah, well, let's go ahead and just pay 2 to get this over with. Okay, there's the prince. He's, yeah, where is he? Right there. He is not the usurper, and thus it's going to be the duke. He said he was being blackmailed by the usurper, but he lied. Oh, he desired peace and unity. Not really. Declared his support for the king. What a liar. Okay, so we took 2 suspicion. Oh, we were caught as a double agent. The duke comes over here, and we're dead. Whoa. Okay, so they lose the duke's 3 support. They gain it here. Well, let's go ahead and finish the game, even though we're technically dead. Maybe, well, we die at the end of the game, so I guess. Well, it's instant. This is instant, but I think it'll be fun to see where everything lines up. Usually, I kind of make it through to mostly the end, but okay. So now I can play on any of the 3 cards, so I don't necessarily need that. We're in trouble either. Okay, so let's play these. Oh, these aren't good. So let's say I had used 3 to dismiss that. Play that there. And let's say the king ends up getting that support and whatnot. Okay, so let's say that this all happened. That the 4 support. 1, 2, 3, 4. The Duchess. Hers is a 4. And the royal chef is a 3. 1, 2, 3. So even though the usurper did manage to gather 21 influence, the king has 22 influence, and I'm dead anyways. And the king triumphs over the usurper and his spy, which was me. Where am I? Royal bodyguard. Oh, the king's royal bodyguard was a spy. Well, and that is royal espionage. So, yeah, I think it's got a lot of fun storytelling going on in the court, what's happening in the royal court. If you want to play the assassinated variant, you would randomly add this to the info deck, and then when it's drawn, you have to pick one of the next 3 characters to assassinate. And what that means is if this is the character you played it on, it'd have to be somebody in the circle, not somebody who's already supporting. Actually, you know, I haven't read the rules for a long time. A little rule book here. Let's see. This is a little embarrassing because I haven't played this. Oh, see the full page rules for assassin variant. I don't think I can fit them on my little booklet. There's a full page rules. Okay, yeah, I can't remember. Maybe you could assassinate somebody who's out or not. Yeah, I remember my own game. It has been a couple years since I developed this, but let's say it kills this person. Then whatever support they had would not go to a side. And I think that's the same if it kills somebody here, then their 3 support would be lost. I'm going to have to read the rules on that. So you'll have to look that up because I'm not going to record it in addition to this. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this setup and playthrough, except my lack of knowledge on the assassinated, which is basically I don't really play this myself because it adds quite a bit of, because it's random luck. And I can't remember if it's actually, if it's forced or not. Maybe I need to look through and see if I can adjust it to make it a little more fun. Because maybe what I was saying isn't actually in the rules, and that sounds fun to be able to control who you can take out. So I'll have to look. It's been a couple years since I developed this, so I think I'll have to take a look at the rules on that. But anyways, this was a lot of fun developing this game and sharing it with you. So I hope that you try out my game and play it and have fun. And survive being a double agent in the royal household. All right, bye.